We shall move on. Member for Noosa.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I would like to thank the Queensland Audit Office for their comprehensive Auditor General's Report No. 7, 2018-2019, Conserving Threatened Species. This report, which was tabled in November 2018, focused on the status at that time of the strategy the government had in place to protect our threatened species and their habitat. Currently, Queensland is host to 995 listed threatened species. Of these, 441 are threatened nationally, with 731 being native flora and 224 native fauna. The main threats identified in this report to our native plants and animals are habitat loss, invasive plants and animals, fire and climate change. The audit highlighted some concerning gaps in the Department of Environment and Science's implementation of a cohesive and coordinated strategy to manage conservation and recovery efforts, particularly in the process of listing threatened species in Queensland. I referred to this in Part 2 of the Environmental Protection, Great Barrier Reef Protection Measures and other legislation Amendment Bill 2019. Queensland signed the Intergovernmental Memorandum of Understanding, agreement on a common assessment method for listing of threatened species and threatened ecological communities in March 2017, and the audit identified that there is a long way to go to ensure it is able to meet the obligations of the MOU. As outlined in the audit, it is imperative that DES, DAF and DERM work together to develop a clear strategy to protect and restore threatened species populations. Much work continues to be done by dedicated stakeholders, including QPWS, the Environmental Policy and Planning, scientists, traditional owners and local conservation groups to rebuild these fragile habitats. From a legislative perspective, it was vital for the government to coordinate as well fund the collective efforts of these groups to implement the Common Assessment Method, CAM, and align legislation accordingly to remove discrepancies with the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. The CAM has the potential to be highly effective and relatively simple mechanism to record, approve and monitor threatened species across every state and territory in Australia, in line with the International Union for Conservation of Nature best practice model. Having a transparent and consistent assessment process that is aligned with national data will allow both state and federal funding to be coordinated and prioritised based on need, as opposed to the ad hoc nature in which funds have been dispersed in the past. Pleasingly, this has commenced as part of the passing of the GBR Bill. In addition, as the audit recommends, Queensland needs to urgently finalise a fully funded protected areas strategy. To save time and money, I'd said before, it would make sense to refresh and implement the well-regarded Biodiversity Strategy for Queensland that was
Member for Noosa, I ask that you would now move that the debate be adjourned, please.